Hi, folks. Welcome to week number 3 of Interpersonal Communications online at Hennepin Technical College. I am recording this video on Friday, January 23rd. Hopefully you all are getting into the rhythm and the pace of our course. Please remember too that if you are wondering about something, about an assignment, or how something is going to be graded, please do, especially during these first couple of weeks of the semester, please do reach out, send me an email, and ask any questions. I'd much rather that you ask the question, get the information, and then are able to earn full points on all of your assignments. So please don't forget that I'm here and that you shouldn't be struggling out there by yourself. So what I have been working on this week is I have just I finished up grading your extra credit VARC posting and your course expectations posting. So those are graded and online you can check those out. And then I just started to look at your discussion posting number 1 that was due this past Wednesday. And these are looking really good, folks. I'm impressed with your first set of discussion postings. I know discussion postings in online courses sometimes can be a little bit confusing because each instructor has a little different requirement what they're looking for a word count or for definition. So please do follow the grading rubric for my discussion postings really closely because that's exactly the format that I use for grading and assigning points. So as I'm looking at discussion posting number 1, I'm looking for, do you answer both questions? Do you cite and apply, and that's really the key, apply at least 4 definitions, or excuse me, 4 text or theories from our chapter. So do you have 4 concepts that you're applying as you're answering those questions, and do you include definitions and page numbers in your discussion posting? And then of course making sure that you're responding to at least 2 classmates. Just a quick reminder, folks, this is a general education transfer level course, which again means that this is the same course that you would take at any of the universities or colleges in the MnSCU system. So all of your writing for this course does need to be at a college level. So make sure that you are double checking your writing mechanics, your grammar, your spelling, your punctuation, capitalization, all of that. And I know I'm seeing your discussion postings usually are very well done in that you've checked your grammar, you've checked all of your writing mechanics. But then when you get into responding to classmates, it's really easy, folks, to fall back into that texting language or texting writing where you're not capitalizing things or you're not checking your spelling very close or you're not using punctuation. Remember that all of your writing, both discussion postings and the responses to classmates and of course all of your papers, need to be at that college level place. So please do take the time to double check your writing before you post it. Also remember that if you struggle, if writing, we all have things that we're great at, folks, and things that we're not so great at. Make sure that you use the Learning Resource Center or the Writing Center on campus. This is a wonderful opportunity for you, if that's not your strength, to sharpen your writing. One of the things that we hear over and over again from our employers who hire our graduates is not only do they need strong verbal communication skills, but they need strong written skills. The vast majority of the employers out there use some sort of written communication with their clients and customers. So of course they need employees that can write, that have strong writing skills. So if that's not a strength for you, have that self-awareness to say, this is a skill I really need to sharpen, and then work with the folks in the Learning Resource Center, work with the folks in the Writing Center to sharpen those skills, not only to help you be successful in my course, but again to help you be successful as you go out into your chosen fields. Okay, so I should have those discussion postings and responses graded. It usually takes me about 7 days to get those done, so I'm hoping to get those done sometime between now and next Tuesday. I've already started to look at them and I'm starting that grading process. So, and that's kind of my policy as far as when you upload things or you complete assignments, it's usually within 7 days I do have those graded and recorded. So keep checking back. Remember that you should really be logging into, especially for an online course, you should be logging in 3 or 4 times a week just to check in for updates or assignments. The other thing is to please make sure that you have our schedule posted somewhere that you will see it, or integrated into if you use an electronic calendar. Again, the number one reason that students don't pass my course is because they miss quizzes, or they miss discussion postings, or they miss papers. So please make sure that you're not one of those students that just kind of gets mixed up on the schedule or gets behind on the schedule and then misses assignments. Also, folks, as we move through the semester, please make sure that as you are looking ahead and as you are kind of planning, remember that because it is an online course, you're probably going to be spending, 3 to 6 hours a week alone on my course to do well. So make sure that you're scheduling that time into your schedule. Also, a last reminder is as instructors or faculty at Hennepin Tech, we are required that if you are not attending, and in an online class, that means are you logging in and are you completing the online assignments? If you stop attending or stop completing assignments for 2 weeks, we are required to drop you from our class roster. And what that means, that's called LDA, last date of attendance. And what that means is if you don't post, if you don't log in, if you don't take quizzes, and you don't complete assignments for 2 weeks, I am going to go into the course registration and enter an LDA. And your last date of attendance will be the last date that you were participating online. What that results in is an F being recorded on your transcript, which is not a good thing. Nobody wants that. So please make sure that if for some reason you are struggling, or if you are ill, or something is preventing you from being online and completing assignments, that you let me know as soon as possible, because you don't want that to happen where that you are dropped from a course and an F is required. Especially, we have financial aid will be distributed early next week, and we are required, whether or not you receive financial aid or not, we are again required to record anybody who is not participating in classes. So I just encourage you, not only in my class, because this is a Hennepin Tech policy, but I encourage you to make sure that you are participating, and if you're not participating for some reason, that you contact your instructor and let them know that. Okay, so those are just kind of some housekeeping things that I just wanted to make sure that I clarified with you. Again, here we are looking forward to week number 3. Week number 3 is all about perception and self. It's one of my favorite chapters. I think chapter 2 and 3 are two of my favorites out of all of our chapters. Chapter 2, really interesting to look at how we perceive things and how we all think that we're seeing the same thing. We all think that reality is how we see it, but in fact, everybody has their own separate individual reality. So I think you will find lots of interesting things in chapter 2. Making sure we have no writing assignment, but making sure that you take quiz number 2 by Friday, January 30th. The next week, and remember in this video I'm combining both weeks 3 and 4. So the following week you will do you'll read chapter 3. Very good chapter again about culture and then how that impacts your own sense of identity. And you're going to complete quiz number 3 by 11:59 on Friday, February 6th. The main focus that I want to spend time on, though, is this first paper that is due during week number 5, which is your perception paper. It's due on Wednesday, February 11th. And I'm just going to go back up here under Table of Contents, and I'm under just Course Materials. And I'm going to go way down here to grading rubrics. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this first paper that you'll be working on. Again, just a reminder, here's that discussion grading rubric. But you're going to be working on your perception interview analysis paper. And what you're going to do for this paper is you're really going to explore how you view yourself and how others view you. So step 1 is to create 3 separate lists. Making sure that you label your list with the first name and then your relationship to who you interviewed for this project. Your first list will include 10 words on how you perceive yourself. So just don't do a lot of thinking about it. Just really quickly write down, here are 10 ways that I would describe myself. The second list, I want you to ask a family member or somebody who is a close friend to also do that, to list 10 words that they would use to describe you. Don't show them your personal list because you don't want them to be influenced by that. Your third list then is to have an acquaintance. And it's really important that this is somebody who does not know you well. So maybe an instructor that you have, a coworker, a neighbor, somebody who you are not in an interpersonal relationship with. This should be somebody who's down on the impersonal side. Have them list 10 words that describe how they perceive you. A lot of times students will just have a classmate who they don't know well in one of their face-to-face classes do the list for them. So you then should have 3 lists in front of you: your list, your close family or friend list, and then your acquaintance list. And now here's where the analysis comes in steps 2 and 3. I would like you to write a 3 to 4 page 3 to 4 paragraph analysis. Boy, that'd make for a long paper, wouldn't it? So we're just writing 3 or 4 paragraphs that analyze the differences and the similarities between the lists. Now, as you are analyzing the differences and similarities, make sure that you incorporate textbook theories and concepts. So you can use anything, any of the chapters are fair game. You probably are going to pull most out from chapter 1, 2, 3, and perhaps some in 4. Making sure that you include definitions and page numbers. Also then highlight the text concepts that you are applying in a different color or a font, or underline them just so that when I'm reading your paper they really jump out. Step 3 then is to write 2 or 3 paragraphs that describes and analyzes the physical, physiological, psychological, and semantic noise present in your interview. And if you just remember, we learned about noise as we looked at the models of communication in chapter 1. So go back to chapter 1, review those, and then just discuss what sort of noise was present when you did your list, your interviews for list 2 and 3. So when you interviewed your close friend or your family member, what sort of noise was present? When you did your acquaintance, what sort of noise was present? And discuss that down here. Also, in step 3, I'd like you to focus on describing the context. And again, remember we learned about context in chapter 1, the physical, the cultural, the social, emotional, and the historical. And again, as you're doing, your interviews with your family friend or close friend, and you're doing your acquaintance, what context did those interviews occur in? What physical context? Where were you sitting? What cultural context? Do you share the same culture with those people that you interviewed? What sort of social emotional relationship is going on? What sort of history do you have with those folks? So that's the context piece. Again, making sure that you use definitions and page numbers, and that you highlight the text concepts in a different color, in a different font, in some way so that they jump out in your paper. If you are shooting for an A, which would be a 27 out of 30, you're going to, of course, have your 3 labeled lists. And remember, labeled with the first name of the person that you interviewed and then their relationship to you. You're going to cite 5 to 6 text concepts, including definitions and page numbers, remembering that you're going to highlight those text concepts in some way. And then here's the really important part. This is an analysis paper. So I don't want you just to say, this is the definition of physical context, blah, 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 blah. I want you to apply it. So I want you to show me how that concept applies to your particular interview with your partner. So don't just cite the concept, show that you demonstrate that you understand and you can apply that course concept to your interview results. And that really is the key. That's where you show me you can't, not just, I am more than able just to recite definitions from the textbook. I can actually apply it, because folks, that's where the real change in your own communication comes from, is where you have the ability then to take that and apply it in your own life or apply it to your own communication. So that's what we're doing for this paper. Remember, again, I am happy to review any of your papers before you upload it. You just need to email it to me at least 3 or 4 days before the paper is due. And once you do upload it, remember that is then your final paper. So again, as you look at our schedules, we're looking ahead. Hope you have a good couple of weeks, and